The promise of spring did not disappoint, and we entered what was perhaps our best time here. The summer light brought a kind of relief, and Abakah and I continued to work at the tannery and the hatters, and our child Kofi grew. The hospital too continued to prosper, although we knew little of its workings then. Autumn brought an end to the long summer days, and with it the cool breezes beckoning winter. Abakah began to complain of a pain in his side. We thought for a while that it was a simple sprain, a disturbance. But as the weeks dragged on and the light began to dwindle, it became worse, and he grew more and more tired. We knew we needed help. I knew the hospital because we had passed it on our way to work. We came, and they sent us away. They said we were not part of deserving poor. We tried again, and they sent us away a second time. But I knew some of the surgeons and staff because they sometimes drank in the gin parlors where I sold my wares. There was one surgeon people would talk about who did not seem like an important doctor. Too small, too thin. But they said he had connections. I did what I had to do. Can I get you another drink?
I'm sorry, do you work here?
No. But I sometimes help with special customers.
Oh, I see. And what makes me so different?
You have a look about you. I can tell.
Well, you may be mistaken this time.
I make the gin.
You want some special ingredient?
I save the best for certain customers.
Where are you from?
A place called Abakah. And you?
Up north, Kendal.
We are both far from home.
I work at the hospital.
I have heard.
You did?
People talk well of you.
Well, it may well be an illusion, like this gin.
Why do you come here?
To get away from the screams of the operations.
Sometimes we need an escape.
This hospital follows me. The smell will not wash out of my hands.
My hands, too, are stained from the dyes at the hatters. But here, we can forget.
Yes. Here I forget. I've not met a woman like you before.
I began to know his patterns. I made sure I was there when he came to drink. I became like an apparition to him. The promise of something new. Slowly luring him in. Eventually, we began to know each other. And then I mentioned Abakah and his malady.
I'm more important than you realise. The governors, they all listen to me.
Tell me.
They call us the resurrectionists. A medical school needs bodies for dissection, for teaching. And the only legal supply is those condemned through the courts, but there are far too few. So we provide the others. They're perfected what they do. It's quite amazing, really. Wooden shovels make less noise. You dig down by the head and the body just slips right out.
This was the first time that life came to me with a choice. And for a moment I knew better. And I should have turned and left. I should have gathered my affairs, thanked this man for his conversation, and gone my own way. What good could come from a man who dishonored the dead as he did? This was the moment. I should have turned and left. But I stayed. So you can help us.
Yes, just say the word.
You will make everything better.
I can do more than you imagine.
We will come to you.
I'm yours.
And so we entered these halls. He treated Abakah, and Abakah did get better. He treated him with herbs and tonics and weekly bloodlettings. It seemed for a while this could even cure Abakah. At first, I came to Hugo for his knowledge of the hospital.
At first, I was drawn to Efua for who she was.
I then moved closer and closer.
She made me forget with her stories.
I told him of places far away, real and imagined.
At first, I was just drawn to her.
At first, I came to Hugo for what he could do for us. But then?
And then?
I thought of him while making gin.
I began to let her in.
His body, his person.
She had a strength.
He was a survivor, like me.
She reminded me of myself.
I began to think of a different future.
I began to dream a better life.
And then winter came.
The fevers returned and Abakah got weaker.
I made him stews to give him strength.
But we did our best. Nothing worked.
Powerless against this strange ailment.
I no longer knew what to do.
I was not so sure anymore.
As Abakah got sicker, the hospital also descended into its own darkness.
Governors have called a meeting for next week.
I've heard.
They wish to discuss the recent spate of deaths.
Why? It's bad luck only. We've done as we always have, sir.
And let us review the most recent surgical cases.
Very well, sir. The 17th of February, Elizabeth Reagan, admitted with a compound fracture of the tibia and fibula as a consequence of a heavy carriage passing over the leg. A piece of lint dipped in nitric acid lotion was applied to the oozing matter, but the patient got worse and expired before the amputation could be performed.
Continue.
22nd of February, Lucille Bonaparte, successful popliteal aneurysm performed.
You can hardly call it successful.
The operation was successfully performed and she appeared to move towards recovery. But the leg developed a blackness and foul odour. Wine, porter and stimulating medicines were ordered, but the patient expired on the 26th of February.
This is the third in the last 2 weeks who has expired from this operation.
Yes, sir.
Our great innovation, yet patients do not recover.
A spate of bad luck, sir.
Next.
Clarice Baumgarten, patient showed signs of weakness and fatigue following the bladder stone operation, expired on the 25th of February.
Next.
Bonnie Redbone, expired 2 days after the amputation of the left leg.
Very well.
Well, that was all for last week, sir.
Write up these notes.
Yes, sir.
The list for this week.
Donald Maybury, bladder stone operation. Portnoy Bramsley, lower arm amputation. Mr. Abakah Kuntu, removal.
Who's this one?
It's an unusual case, but one I believe deserves our consideration. The patient admitted 6 months ago with an abdominal growth. We followed the standard prescriptions of compresses and bloodlettings, followed by weekly medicines from the apothecary. The patient responded well, but subsequently has deteriorated. Fevers and chills.
Then we've done all we can.
Mr. Carter, I know we've had some setbacks, but we did make advances to cure internal maladies. Now, I believe this case could benefit from a drainage or perhaps removal of the offending tumour.
No, it's too much of a risk.
At least examine the patient yourself.
To what end?
A surgeon of your wisdom and experience could perhaps shed some light on the matter.
Very well, Thursday. The others?
Well, I'll prepare the rest of the schedule. We'll give it to you by the end of the day.
We'll start at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Make sure the dressers prepare the basins and produce enough fresh sawdust. None of that sodden lot we had last week. We've had complaints recently from the church below of blood dripping through.
You still make no mention of the cholera as it advanced from the north in defiance of the winter months.
You think we need more death in these halls?
We have a chance to experiment, sir. They now call it the blue disease. It hits and kills by nightfall.
Board are deliberating on a course of action.
You know the course of events the last time the plague hit the city. The mass graves, the king fled to Oxfordshire, fires burning night and day in an attempt to cleanse the air. The houses...
I do not need you to lecture me on our history.
Surely we have advanced beyond these methods, sir.
What would you have us do?
Treat those who are sick. We could learn from it.
I will not open the doors of this hospital to those who would bring its destruction.
Mr. Carter, please.
Good day, sir.
Some days I am not sure that I will make it through.
We are strong.
I no longer see the light of day, nor our child awake.
Rest.
Are you ready for the wake tomorrow? They will be here just after dark.
Have you heard what is happening in the city?
How does it concern us?
There are reports of violence, attacks against Africans.
All the more reason to stay together.
We could be bringing trouble onto ourselves. What will the neighbors say when they see so many Africans passing through here?
It is none of their concern.
They will hear the singing. They will smell the strange food. And what if they knew we had a dead body in our house? We do not want trouble with our neighbors.
We do not want trouble with the dead.
Perhaps we could ask somebody...
I promise, Kwame.
Rest. Rest, my love. Mr. Forrester has arranged a meeting with Mr. Carter tomorrow.
I do not know why you persist with them.
Mr. Carter is the chief surgeon.
We should find one of our own doctors.
This is a new land, Abakah. New ailments and new cures.
We need roots and herbs from back home, not these knives and leeches.
He is said to be the best surgeon in the country.
We should find a goat. We should have done this long ago.
A sacrifice here.
Yes.
They will laugh at you.
And?
This is a new land, Abakah. People are different here.
Do you know what I saw today? A young boy had his hand cut off at work. Do you know what they did? They threw him out into the streets. He would die. Yes, that is how people are different.
His parents will take care of him.
If he has them, if his flesh does not rot, if he means anything to anyone, if he cannot work.
You are tired.
When I came home tonight, I saw the butcher painting the meat with blood to cover up the fact it had gone bad. This place is rotten and far.
You do not know that yet.
They treat us no better than dogs.
This sickness, it's talking with its wicked tongue.
Maybe the sickness releases me to speak the truth. We will do the work tomorrow.
Over the winter months, Abakah had grown worse and worse. As he grew weaker, he began to dream more and more of home.
As Abakah grew worse, I watched her for her. I waited for her to give up. But with every trial she held on tighter and became more resolute.
The winter months had been cruel. The plague claimed more and more dead in the city. People left the gym parlors. They lingered indoors in patches of light, hoping to escape death's long reach. We had a new enemy to defend against.
The winter months had been cruel. As machines replaced workers, people began to speak out against Africans here. But they needed someone to blame. One man wrote a pamphlet. 20,000 Africans in London, he said, and they should all go home.
They spoke against us more and more. Another enemy.
I watched her for her. I waited for her to give up. Yet all of these trials only strengthened her resolve.
As the cold and dark descended, I took it as a test of our will. I pleaded with Hugo, and finally he began to talk of a new possibility, a new kind of cure. Finally, he said that Mr. Carter had agreed to meet us.
Mr. and Mrs. Kuntu.
Good day.